This video is going to cover the first responsive navigation demo for Web Design 2. Once in Blackboard, click on the Demos link and scroll down to Responsive Navigation. You're going to see there's a few set of starting files. We want the first one, so I'm going to right click on that and save that. We want to put this inside of the Web 2 folder, Demos. Once it downloads, find your Web 2 folder, go inside of it, go inside of Demos, and then you should see the zip file. Double click it to unzip. Then it has the folder there, and then delete the zip file. While we're here, let's just go ahead and open up the index inside of a web browser. Okay, so we have some content there. I'm also going to open this up in a code editor. And then I'm going to open up the index. I'm going to go up to View in the menu bar. So View, Toggle Soft Wrap. So that way I can see all of my text. And then I'm going to also open up my CSS document. And then I'll do the same thing, go up to View, Toggle Soft Wrap, so that way I can see everything. And I'm just going to hit this arrow so that way I can just pay attention to the code. Okay, so a couple things that we already have for us. We already have a header with some headings in it. We have the main with a bunch of paragraphs. And then we have a footer with an H6 down at the bottom. All right, so it's a lot of CSS already in there for us, mostly some text stylings, and that kind of gives us this look here. So what we're going to be looking at is now how to add navigation to this content. So what I'm going to start by doing is going to my HTML document, my index.html, and I'm going to add navigation for mobile. Now in this result, what I want to have happen is on a smaller screen, so whenever there's not that much space, I'm actually going to put the navigation at the bottom, and at the top there's going to be a link that says menu, or maybe you could even have the hamburger button or some icon that indicates that it is for the navigation. And whenever they click on the word menu up at the top, it is going to just automatically jump them down to the bottom of the page. Now looking at this here, I can see that I'm going to need a couple extra paragraphs because right now I don't have a scroll. The other option that I could do is just make it smaller like this. Okay, so maybe I'll just do that instead of adding the paragraphs this time. All right, so the first thing I need to do is add my navigation. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of my HTML. I'm going to go before footer opens, and I'm going to put in the nav tag because you use a nav tag anytime you have a series of links. And because I'm going to have more than one nav tag eventually, I'm going to give it an ID, and I'm just going to call this mobile-nav. And then I'm going to close it, and I'm going to put in a comment, saying that I am closing mobile nav. Now I just put in the pound sign here because this to me tells me already that like I'm closing an ID. If you need to say in the comment closing the ID mobile nav, then do that. Whatever it is that makes sense to you. All right, now I need to put my links in here. For the links, what I'm going to do is a bulleted list, because you need a bulleted list anytime you have a series of things, and I'm going to have a series of links here. So I'm going to do an li, and then I'll do an href, and for right now we'll just put in the pound sign. The pound sign in the href value is going to say look like a link style-wise, but don't go anywhere when it's clicked. All right, so the first link is always going to be home, and then we close the li. All right, if you don't have this part coded in, this would be a great time to pause the video and go ahead and put all this code in. The next step that we're going to do is highlight this entire li and copy, so Command or Control C, and then we're going to paste, so Command or Control V. So we'll just do maybe we'll do a fourth one. So I'll do home, Home is always first. Maybe we'll do about. Maybe we'll do contact, and maybe we'll just have a link for other, like for other books, let's say. All right, so if I save this, okay, so Command or Control S, come in here and refresh, I have links down here at the bottom. Now the styles that they're having is coming from this right here in the CSS. So that part was already done. So the next thing that I want to do is make a menu button somewhere up here near the top. So that way if I click on it, it will jump me down to the mobile nav. So in my HTML document, I am going to scroll up to the top, right below the header tag. Now it doesn't mean that it always has to go below the header tag. Depending on what you want your layout to look like, it could go in a different spot. So in this case, I'm just going to do right below the closing header. So I am going to do, just going to put it on its own line so it's easy to see. Tab it in, a href. And then for this href, you want to say pound mobile hyphen nav. You need to make sure the pound sign is in here. And this has to be spelled exactly the way that it is in this ID right here. So if you're not good at spelling, then you can highlight that, copy it, and paste it in here. But you need to have the pound sign. So what this is saying is anytime someone clicks on this link, find an ID called mobile nav and jump down to it. It's referred to as an anchor link. All right, we still need something to style it with, so I'm going to give it a class and call it menu-button. And then I am going to just write the word menu and then close my A tag. All right, so if you didn't get that code copied in, go ahead and pause the video. And I'm going to save this, so Command or Control S, and come back and refresh. And now I have my menu button. And again, you have to have your screen, your browser window, I should say, small enough so that way you have to scroll. So if you don't have a scroll right now, this isn't going to work. So you have to have a scroll. So I'm going to click on it, menu, and then bam, it jumps me down so that way I can see my links at the bottom. So the reason we do this on a smaller view is so that way, you know, if we had a bunch of links, like if we had 10 links, they wouldn't take up all this space. And if it's in a mobile view, you probably don't want all of those links to go side by side because it might be harder to tap or click with their finger. All right, so let's go in and just do some quick styles on the links. So I'm going to go to the CSS and I'm going to style this in the mobile view. So that's anything before the first media query. And I am going to style it as pound mobile hyphen nav space LI. All right, so I'm saying any LI that is just inside the mobile nav. And I'm going to give it a background color. You can choose whatever background color you like. All right, so I'm going to go down. Let's go with the lighter one. All right, and then let's also do the hover. So I like doing it this way for this demo because I like showing you that you can put a hover on anything. We've done hovers on the A tags, like you can see on line 34 in the CSS, but you can actually put them on anything. And whenever I right click, I know it's going off of the video. Whenever I right click, I'm just going down to color picker. Okay, so if you didn't get that code in, this code here, now would be a good time to pause the video. I'm going to save and then come in here and refresh. And now I have my links, right? Oops, this isn't working because it needs to be mobile hyphen nav. Mobile hyphen nav. So I had to fix that because I didn't have the hyphen nav in there. So save, come in, refresh again. There we go. That's what we want. Perfect. All right. Now we need to go in. Actually, one thing I want to change about this. Notice how the text color only changes whenever I put my cursor over the word. That's not good because they're not going to be able to see the links right now. Plus, someone might think that just because the hover is working over here that I should click on it. and it work, but it won't. So let's go into our A tag and let's put display : block. So that way it will always take up 100% of the width. All right, so save, refresh, and now look, the links, the text color changes even whenever my mouse is over here. All right, ideally you would, change the font family, and you would, make it centered and adjust spacing and things like that. But this was just kind of more of a quick review. Okay, so once we get that in, the next thing that we need is, on a wider screen, we need the desktop view. So let's go in and go to our HTML, and we are going to make this easier on ourselves, and we're going to scroll down to the mobile nav, because the desktop nav and the mobile nav are probably going to look the same in terms of what content they have. So I'm going to highlight all of mobile nav, copy it. I am going to scroll back up, and just after the menu button, I am going to paste. Now I got to change a few things here. I got to change mobile to desktop, and then I want to change my comment to say desktop. All right, so go ahead and pause the video so that way you can get all this code in if you did not. All right, I am going to save this. And then if I come in and refresh right now, it's going to show that I have 2 sets of links. And in some cases, that could be okay, but if you've got a lot of links, then you don't want them taking up real estate space here at the top. So let's go into our CSS, and let's just style the desktop nav. And if you wanted to, you could make it, look like it does in the mobile nav, or in this case, I'm going to make it look a little bit different. So this time I am going to style it this way. All right, I'm going to right click, go down to color picker. I know it's off the screen, but I'm going to go to color picker, and let's do, all right, well, I'm just going to make it slightly different. You can choose whichever colors you like, and then I will style pound desktop nav LIA hover, and then I will give it a background color as well. You can style more things than just background colors. This is just kind of one of the quicker things. All right, not necessarily going for anything pretty here. Just trying to get something in. Okay, these colors are probably gonna look atrocious. Yes, they do. All right, but you can at least tell that it is working. All right, so next thing that we need to do is we need to say, you know what, in the desktop nav should not show in the mobile view, right? I don't want these here. So I am going to style just desktop -nav. All right, it really doesn't matter where you style it. I'm just styling it here to make it, like, to me, this makes more sense for desktop nav to be first, but it doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to tell it display none. Okay, so this is going to hide desktop nav in smaller view. So if I save that and come in and refresh, it's gone. Or it looks like it's gone. It's still there. It is just hidden right now. Now, whenever the screen gets wider, I want it to appear, and I want menu and mobile nav to go away. Right? You could have mobile nav continue to stay, but I'm going to show you how to make it go away. All right, so in our media query, I'm going to hit enter so it's easier to see for you guys. Instead of 460, let's do 768. That's kind of a long wait before the navigation changes, but this is just so it's easier to see the change. Okay, so we need, there we go. We need the menu button. And in this case, just to show you a different way to do a selector, we have the menu button directly on the A tag. So since this class menu button is right here on the A tag, another way that you can style this is saying a dot menu hyphen button. So that is saying a class called menu button as long as it is inside, like right in that opening A tag. Right? If you put a space there, that means that there's another class in between the A tags. This means it's on the A tag. Right? So that one little space there can really mess it up. All right, and we want to say mobile nav. And we're going to tell them display none. So hides menu and mobile nav in larger view. Okay, so that's great, but then we also need the desktop nav to appear, right? Like we want the desktop nav to show up here. So we're going to say, all right, desktop hyphen nav, and to make it appear, that's display block. Hey, look, there it is. Small, large, and that all it is just a show hide. All right, all it is just a show hide. So it's more logic than anything, thinking about when you want something to appear and when you want it to disappear. Okay, so let's go in and style the desktop nav a little bit further in our media query, because if we've got all this space now that we can add columns, then let's do that with our navigation. Okay, so after desktop nav, we are going to style pound desktop nav space UL. And what we're going to do here is tell it to display flex. Now a review of what this is going to do. The UL is the flex container for the LIs. Okay, so let me jump back to the index and show you. The UL is the parent element for the LIs, right? We want each one of these to go side by side. And one of the easiest ways to do that is with Flexbox. So I said UL, which is the flex container, to display flex. All right, so just display flex. So I'm going to save that and come in and refresh. And then automatically that puts them side by side. Now, I don't really want them I don't want them really close together like this. And let's say that maybe I want them to be equal widths. So I need to style the LI. So I'm going to style desktop hyphen nav space UL space LI. It's really good to get in the habit of identifying which LI or which UL it is you want to style. If I just styled all LIs, that would affect my mobile nav as well, and that's not what I want. All right, so here I'm going to say flex 1. Okay, flex 1. Save it, come in, refresh, and now they are equal widths. You could also add margin if you wanted to. You could, do text align center. Now, a few other things that you could do here that could help out come from a property called justify content. And I have a diagram here that kind of shows you this. So kind of imagine the purple bar is our UL and the orange are our LIs. So you could say flex start and have all the links start at the very left, which is kind of what they do by default. Maybe you want them to go all the way to the right. You could do flex end. If you wanted them to be together but in the center, you would do center. You can do space between, you can do space around, you can do space evenly. Some of these, like space around and space evenly, like space around, like if this is 100 pixels, it's going to put 100 pixels before and after, but then it's going to put 100 pixels here and 100 pixels here. So there's actually 200 pixels of space here. Whereas this one says, put the same amount of space between all of these. So this one visually probably looks better, but space around is a thing as well. Okay, so let's take a look at them. You can't have that. You can't have the justify content with the space around and stuff if you have flex 1. So you have to take that. Actually, let's just, instead of taking it off of there, let's just comment it out. because maybe you would kind of want it in there at some point. Who knows? All right, so let's go back up to Desktop Nav UL and let's say justify content. And let's just do flex end. Okay, save, refresh, and here they are on the right side. We could do center. Okay, so there they are scrunched in the center. You could do, so you could do space between. Right, so it looks a little bit funny because they're so far apart. You know, you might put in another media query to not let them be that far apart. But basically, I just wanted you guys to be able to see the idea behind justify content. So that's a lot quicker than, you know, using floats, because you would have to go in and now you would have to adjust margin and you would have to adjust widths. And Flexbox just kind of makes it a lot quicker and easier. Now you might have to go in and adjust some margin and padding, but for the most part, this will kind of get the job done pretty quickly. All right, so the whole idea here was, we said on a smaller screen, we don't want to take up space at the top to show our navigation. So we want the space above the scroll, so before we have to scroll, to be the most important content, usually on a website, and we don't want to take up that space with links. So what we can do instead is have a menu button or a hamburger image, and whenever you click on it, it jumps you down to the bottom of the page. So that's on a mobile screen. On a larger screen, what you could do is hide the menu and the mobile nav, or you could also leave the mobile nav if the page scrolls for a long time. And then you would have your desktop nav at the top. Giving the mobile nav and the desktop nav two different names allows you to style them separately and tell them individually when they should show and when they should hide. All right, so that was kind of the overall summary of what this demo was kind of covering. And the other thing too was the anchor link, or the ladder link, I should say, where you use the A tag to kind of jump you down to another part of your document using an ID. Whoops, this one right here. Okay, so that is it for the demo. As always, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.